I've been having an issue making this video. The reason why is because everyone has been talking about the coronavirus day after day. From YouTubers, or as Bernie Sanders himself would like to call it, the YouTube, to people in the mainstream media, to just anywhere on social media and the internet. People are talking about the coronavirus nonstop. Now, I'm not saying that the coronavirus is an issue. Far from it. It's a major concern that we need to take seriously. We need to look at the actions that the CDC and the WHO have prescribed, which I mentioned before in my previous videos, and even you can see in the um, descriptions down below in those videos. But I wanted to give you guys something fresh, and I managed to find that on Tuesday with specifically the Democratic primaries. Now, while I will still be talking about the Democratic primaries, I'm also going to talk about how the coronavirus is affecting the election in general and how it's changing the political landscape, both from the Democratic point of view and the Republicans. But first, the Democrats. The Democrats have been, well, they have been in a mess for quite a while, but I think that the coronavirus is only worsening their predicaments, because on Tuesday, March 17th, there were supposed to be 4 states that were going to be allowing the primaries. Now, at the very last minute, the governor of Ohio decided that they weren't going to have their primary as a result of the coronavirus. I'm not sure if they're going to actually start the primary in Ohio in a later date. I kind of doubt it, in my personal opinion. Honestly, I would say that the delegates will have to sort that out, specifically from the state of Ohio. So that's just my personal opinion. But nonetheless, that's the result. Ohio was out, and the 3 other states, which were Illinois, Florida, and Arizona, we're going to allow the primaries. But even then, there was such low voter turnout. In fact, a lot of experts have been saying that this turnout has been the lowest since the Second World War. And I've said this before, and I say this again, but it's already showing that the coronavirus is having a major impact on a lot of people. How the entire populace has been. Some of them have been panicking, but a lot of people are just so concerned about the idea of the coronavirus spreading out that many people are preferring to stay in their homes instead of going out, probably catching the virus or spreading it. That's how much it's been affecting this country, and even affecting these elections. And in the string, and I don't know. I know that a lot of people have been saying that this may that the issue with the virus itself has actually helped Joe Biden, which, by the way, he managed to acquire all 3 states as a result. Instead of Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden managed to sweep the floor with Bernie Sanders in the states of Florida, Illinois, and Arizona. And some people are saying that the coronavirus had an impact on this due to the fact that there are low voter turnouts. I would say that that statement itself has a little bit of merit behind it, but nonetheless, I would say that the issue with that Bernie Sanders, or a lot of people have within the Democratic Party, have been having major issues with Bernie Sanders even before the coronavirus outbreak. And I specifically look at Florida as an example. I mentioned before how Bernie Sanders actually praised Cuba and its literacy program, and how that has caused major division within the Democratic Party between the far left and pretty much everyone else. And I even mentioned specifically how a lot of Democrats have been protesting on this very issue, but I did not know that it was this bad. In the case of the Democratic primary in Florida, the turnout, despite the fact that it was still low, Biden got a landslide. In fact, according to according to the official results here, in terms of percentage, Bernie Sanders won nearly 23% of the vote, while Joe Biden managed to win over 60. That obviously shows how unpopular Bernie Sanders is in Florida. I'm, I'm sorry, it's just it's a little bit funny because of how a lot of younger people who have been advocating for socialism immediately get pummeled by pummeled by people who actually had to deal with socialism, specifically Cuban Americans who had to flee from their own country to come to the United States as a result of Fidel Castro's regime and dictatorship and so on and so forth. This only shows how unpopular socialism is. And like I said before, even with the fact that the coronavirus may have had a factor in all of this within the states of Illinois, Arizona, and Florida, Bernie Sanders has not been very popular. He has been steadily declining within the polls, and not just within the polls, but even among the delegate count. Joe Biden had, after Super Tuesday, managed to surpass him as the front runner, and he has continued that trend to this day. So honestly, I do not see Bernie Sanders winning whatsoever. And he even mentions that he's going to have to look into his campaign a little bit more to see what he can do. And I kind of get a weird signal from that because this potentially mean that he may drop out of the primary itself. But my own gut is telling me that Bernie Sanders is going to continue to be a part of this whole primary issue until a nominee comes out. Probably he's hoping for a broker convention. I don't know. Maybe probably something like Tulsi Gabbard is doing, but I again, the likelihood of a broker convention and the possibility of Bernie Sanders being nominated is looking very, very low at this point. People are preferring Joe Biden and Joe Biden because that is who a lot of people not only are they more familiar with compared to Bernie Sanders, who is more familiar with the youth vote, but Joe Biden has been again portrayed as a mainstream Democrat. He's a moderate, and he's had his own experience within government. So people are more likely than not to go with something similar to the status quo. And considering that the coronavirus has, and even with or without the coronavirus, the Democrats are flocking more and more to Joe Biden as a result. Now I expect that eventually the Democratic Party will have to crown Joe Biden as the nominee. Now that's just from the Democratic perspective. In terms of the Republican perspective, it's kind of been a difficult time for President Donald Trump. I will have to admit. So far, the Republican Party has remained united. He has won every single race so far against the other candidates like Bill Weld. But in all honesty, they weren't very big candidates, and most people prefer to remain with the incumbent in many of these elections. So Donald Trump has a major advantage in that, but he has been coming under flag with the coronavirus a lot from the media and from China. In the case of China, they're trying to paint the United States as the one that actually caused the coronavirus, which is completely stupid. I'm pretty sure that everyone in the entire globe, excuse me, the entire globe knows that the United States did not, especially since the virus actually originated from China in the first place. But anyways, this only shows how much flack that Donald Trump has been getting from the media. And of course, I don't need to remind people the fact that the stock market has been plunging as a result. It's going to take a while before the coronavirus, um the entire pandemic itself comes to an end. And during that time, President Donald Trump has to deal with issues that may potentially deal damage to the economy, which by the way is a strong suit. Now again, now he could still win the election. It's election. I still believe personally that he will win the election itself because of the fact that the Democrats remain divided even with Joe Biden, and even with people, just like I said before, in the case of Joe Biden within the Democratic Party, the American people would more likely than not vote for the status quo. So that gives two advantages for Donald Trump. But but during this time, this could, with the coronavirus and the panic resulting from that, along with these new policies, Donald Trump is going to be having a difficult time with the potential impact of the economy. I can't say what kind of impact the economy will have aside from the plunge in the stock market, but nonetheless, that's going to be that could potentially hurt him. All of this would depend from from until the pandemic itself finally comes to an end, and how he will, during that time, how he will try to fix the United States, how he was been trying to deal with the economy. Now now there have been some articles mentioning him trying to add a stimulus package, and that could potentially help. But it will be, I think it will be a band aid, or at least some kind of uh well, I can't say vaccination or a cure to anything. It's the best way I can say is basically band aid. It's a temporary fix, and I think it's going to try that this could potentially try to buy Donald Trump and the entire U.S. government sometime, so that way they can maintain the U.S. economy, try to maintain the confidence within the market as well as the government. So that's my personal opinion. If he does manage to keep the U.S. economy afloat despite the fears of the coronavirus, then he more than guarantees his second term. Even if there is some mixed results with the coronavirus, I still think that he will he will get a second term. Although I think that if he does kind of do some of a poor job, this would give some ammunition to the Democrats. At least I'm thinking this statistically, to use against Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump himself will be more vulnerable. But regardless, it all depends on the next few months of how the coronavirus affects everyone. It's going to be affecting the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. It's going to be affecting the United States in general. And already there is major chaos resulting from the primaries. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more chaos as we get further and further onto both the Republican and Democratic nominations. It's going to be a mess, and the coronavirus is only contributing to this. My name is Omi, and on the Art Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I frame them, how I speak, or any improvements you suggest, or subjects you want me to cover, please post them down in the comment section down below, or directly message me up above. Thank you.
Almost head.